What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham G.S. Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network and on Peacock. And today we're talking the Christmas edition of Talking Smack from December 25th, 2021. As I would probably expect, was the same case with SmackDown on Friday. This was pre-taped. I'm pretty sure usually these Talking Smacks are pre-taped on Friday nights or whatever, and they're not actually airing them on Saturday mornings. I mean, when they air on Saturday mornings, they're not doing them live. SmackDown this past Friday was definitely pre-taped, either from the week before or like the next day, that weekend, whatever. So I'm sure this was taped around the same time. No way that Matt Camp and Jackie Redmond were in the studio in Connecticut at the WWE headquarters recording a review of SmackDown from the night prior. But a pretty run-of-the-mill edition here. The interviews are always the highlight for as long as those last. So let's get right into it. They start out the show by running down the biggest headlines from SmackDown, which were the only headlines from SmackDown, as Charlotte Flair defeated Toni Storm to retain the SmackDown Women's Championship, Sami Zayn winning the 12 Days of Christmas 12-man gauntlet match to become the new number one contender to the Intercontinental Championship, Drew McIntyre and New Day knocking out Madcap Moss and the Usos in a six-man tag team Miracle on 34th Street fight, and then they kind of get into the Paul Heyman firing before recapping the entire Paul Heyman, not only recapping, but replaying, I think, the entire interview that he did at the start of SmackDown on Friday, the sit-down interview with Caleb Braxton, which was great. So definitely check it out. Camp says that Roman probably didn't want to hear the truth from Heyman the week before, which is why he fired him, and Heyman always has a plan. Camp says he's curious as to what Paul Heyman's going to do at day one, how he'll factor in to the Universal Championship match between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. They then recap Charlotte Flair versus Toni Storm, which was a pretty good match, ending in my opinion, anticlimactic fashion. Not that Charlotte was going to lose at all. I mean, whether it be lose the championship, that is. But I expected a bit something a bit more decisive or exciting, or just it was an inside cradle pin, and then Charlotte won, LOL. That was really all it was. Matt Camp actually praised Toni's effort, which all you can really do is praise her effort, although it wasn't all that exciting of a match. It was good, but that's kind of his way of protecting Toni in defeat and making her look better than she actually did in that match, and it wasn't Toni's fault. The match was good, but WWE is really not gone the extra mile that Matt Camp has in protecting Toni in the last couple of weeks. So we actually hear from Charlotte backstage, and these Charlotte interviews are always incredible. I know she's in character, but I say incredible in the respect that she just doesn't give a fuck. Like I feel like she goes out of her way to bury her opponents and rivals sometimes. Like she says, or actually Matt Camp had said that, Charlotte cheating was the ultimate sign of respect. Although she didn't cheat to beat her, she cheated at one point in the match. But that's the ultimate sign of respect. And that, Charlotte was simply 3 seconds better than Toni is what Matt Camp said, which is complete fucking bullshit. They always say that shit. Oh, you were only 3 seconds better. If you apply that to this match, you can apply that to literally any other match in wrestling history. That excuse about 3 seconds is just so stupid. But we hear from Charlotte backstage, like I said, and she says that Toni simply isn't on her level, and she reiterates that she won Flair and Square. Like fair and square, but Flair and Square, get it? And that was it. That was all we heard from Charlotte. So again, I feel like it's not like she says, yeah, Toni's great, but I was just a better woman tonight. I know she's a heel. She's not going to say that sort of stuff all the time, but still. I mean, I feel like with the interview from a few weeks ago where she was like, I don't care about being pied in the face. Toni's just a loser. Look at her. I'm better than her. And then she was right because she beat Toni in the end. This feud was a complete and utter fucking failure. I mean, honestly, it was such a waste of time. Matt Camp says that Charlotte is simply on other challengers, which would explain why she said what she said here. As for Toni Storm, she can say her claim to fame, I guess, is that Flair was simply, again, he reiterates it again, he repeats himself in saying that Flair was simply 3 seconds better. No, she was just a superior woman in general. WWE has told that message loud and clear over the last month. I know she pinned Charlotte in the tag team match last week, but beyond that and Toni getting a pie in her face a few weeks before that, which was fucking stupid, there was nothing about the feud that elevated Toni in any form or fashion. They then recap the 12 Days of Christmas Gauntlet match that was won by Sami Zayn. We hear from Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs backstage, and Boogs says he doesn't need his guitar. I forgot if it broke or Why he didn't have it here? I think he had it at the beginning of SmackDown. I guess he didn't bring him with him to the interview, I guess. I don't know. But Nakamura says that he and Sami made wrestling art 5 years ago at NXT TakeOver Dallas. And I wasn't sure if they were going to reference the history, but they did, which is cool. Nakamura references that match, and he says that he's interested to face Sami Zayn, who isn't the same person that he was 5 years ago. As for Sami, we hear from him backstage as well, not in the exact same interview, but right afterward with Caleb Braxton, or I think it was Megan Moran. Yeah, it was Megan Moran. And he says that it's hard for her and his entire crew, or her entire crew rather, to acknowledge that he overcame the odds. He, overcame the odds in that gauntlet match to win it all and become the new number one contender. And he's right. He says that Nakamura was right. Sami isn't the same person that he was 5 years ago. He's better. And he says he hasn't seen that same magic from Shinsuke Nakamura since then, which honestly was kind of a shoot comment because he's right. And I said this in my SmackDown review from earlier today, that we really haven't seen that same Shinsuke from that same night. He had a great NXT run, but I would argue Shinsuke Nakamura in WWE peaked the first night in at TakeOver Dallas. Had a fun NXT run. He's had glimmers of greatness on the main roster over the last 4.5, 5 years. But we really have not seen that same magic from Nakamura from the day that he arrived in WWE. That first night, and I don't want to say it was all downhill, definitely on the main roster it was. And people love Shinsuke Nakamura, but it's just, he's not the same guy that he was 5.5 years ago. I feel like we really missed Nakamura in his peak in WWE, like in his peak prime years, 5-10 years ago maybe. But anyway, Sami vows to take back the Intercontinental Championship. And then to close out the show, Jackie and Matt recap the Miracle on 34th Street fight that was won by McIntyre and the New Day. They then run down the Day 1 card, and Jackie Redmond all but guarantees that Heyman will factor into Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at Day 1 next Saturday. So again, like I said, a very run-of-the-mill edition of Talking Smack for this week. Pretty standard stuff for Talking Smack now that I say that. I mean, it's the same stuff every single week. And the backstage interviews are really what make the show. Flair's interview was like 30 seconds. The Sami one and the Nakamura and Boogs one were well done. I like that they acknowledged their history. That was notable. I didn't know if they would go in that direction, but they are. They didn't acknowledge the fact, unless I missed something, that Sami actually managed Shinsuke while he was the Intercontinental Champion 2 years ago. I don't know why that would be forgotten about, but that did indeed happen for a good stretch of time at that point over that Intercontinental Championship, and then go back to that as well if they wanted to. But anyway, this was a fine show, really nothing worth going out of your way to see, a lot like the SmackDown from Friday as well. But I appreciate you guys taking the time to check out this review. It very much means a lot. So be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. Be sure to stay tuned for more daily content coming this week between interviews, reviews, Q&A videos, live reaction videos, and so much more right here on the channel. So keep it locked in and never miss an interview, and never miss a video rather as they drop by clicking that bell button to be notified every time a new video goes up. Have an awesome rest of your week, guys. Happy holidays, happy New Year. I'm Graham G. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.